Hey everyone, it's SpeedyGoneCuber. Today in this video, I'll be showing you how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Solving a Rubik's Cube is a very impressive skill to have. I am a SpeedyGoneCuber and I will show you step by step how to solve a Rubik's Cube. If you are new here, consider subscribing. Before you learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube, it's a good idea to understand some basics of the puzzle. A Rubik's Cube is made up of corner pieces, edge pieces and center pieces. A corner piece has 3 different colours on it. In this case, the corner piece right here has got white, red and green on it. Here is what the piece looks like on its own. An edge piece is made up of 2 different colours. In this case, the edge piece right here has got white and green on it. Here's what the piece looks like on its own. Centerpieces have just 1 colour on them. Centerpieces never move. This means that opposite the white centre will always be the yellow centre, opposite the red centre will always be the orange centre, and opposite the green centre will always be the blue centre. Here's what the centres look like on a disassembled cube. It's also good to keep in mind that a corner piece can never turn into an edge piece and an edge piece can never turn into a corner piece. Each piece on the cube is unique and cannot change into another piece. Now you know the basics, so let's go on to the actual learning stage. The first thing to learn about when solving a Rubik's Cube is cube notation. We use cube notation in order to read algorithms. You see, on a cube we have the option to turn the right face, the left face, the upper face, the down face, the front face, and the back face. To turn these moves into notation letters, a right face turn can just be called R, short for right. A left face turn can just be called L. You can use this exact same logic to find out what any letter on the cube can be. R for right, L for left, U for up, D for down, F for front, and B for back. In this tutorial, we're just going to be going over R, L, U and F, so those are the main moves you need to know. The final thing to understand about cube notation is what is going clockwise and what is going anti-clockwise. If a face is being turned clockwise, the letter will remain the same. If a face is being turned anti-clockwise, the letter will have an apostrophe after it. In cubing terms, we will call this apostrophe prime. If a letter has a 2 after it, you would just turn that side 2 times. For example, U2 would just be the upper face 2 times. And here is what all the moves are on the cube. U, U prime, U2, R, R prime, R2, L, L prime, L2, F, F prime, F2. Now you understand cube notation. No matter what combination or state your cube is in, perform this algorithm. R, U, R prime, U prime. We will call this algorithm the righty alg. Now I recommend you keep on repeating the righty alg again and again and again until you know this algorithm off by heart. Once you feel you know the righty alg off by heart, the next algorithm to learn is the lefty alg. Here's how the lefty alg goes. L prime, U prime, L, U. Quite similar to the righty alg, but on the left side of the cube instead of the right side of the cube. Again, with this algorithm, I recommend you keep on repeating this algorithm again and again and again until you remember this algorithm off by heart like you did with the righty alg. Now you know the righty alg and the lefty alg. Those are the two algorithms you will need to solve the entire thing. So let's get straight into actually learning how to solve the cube. When the cube is all scrambled, the first step to do when solving a Rubik's Cube is to solve the daisy. The goal of this stage is to make your cube look like this. 4 white petals surrounded by the yellow center. To do this, you need to firstly find your yellow center. In this case, the yellow center is right here, and then you look for a right edge piece. In this case, I found one right here. I can straight away put this piece up here in one move like this, and there's our first petal. Remember, we're just looking for edges here. We're ignoring all the corners at the moment. Then I see another right edge piece, and I can bring it straight up like that. Now we've got 2 petals around our daisy. Here's another one. However, when I bring this piece up, it will mess up the one that's already solved. So what I can do now is I can move the top layer, then bring it up, and now we've got this piece solved into our daisy. Now 3 petals solved and 1 more to go. I'm going to look for where it is, and it's right down here. Now the way how I'm going to do this is I'm going to firstly move the top layer so there's an empty spot. Then I'm going to move the front layer clockwise or anti-clockwise, doesn't really matter. I'll just move it anti-clockwise. And then, instead of bringing it up, which will mess up this piece, I can then move the top layer and bring it up. And this step should be pretty intuitive, and in no time, you should have your first step done. Now, the daisy is actually the hardest step. So if you've done the daisy, you're already on a good start. The second step for solving a Rubik's Cube is to make a white cross. The goal of this stage is to make your cube look like this, with a right plus sign here, with all these edge pieces aligning with its center. For this step, you're firstly going to choose any one of these 4 edges. In this case, I'm just going to choose this white edge piece. Then I'm going to look at what the other color on that edge piece is. The other colour on this white edge piece is red, so I'm going to keep moving the bottom 2 layers until the red is going to align with its centre. I'm going to make sure that is in front of me, and I'm just going to move this layer at 180 degrees, which is also known as F2. And then I've got this piece solved in my cross. Then I can use the exact same concept for all of the other pieces. So I'm going to choose this edge, move the bottom 2 layers until the greens are going to match, and then just F2 to bring it down into our cross. 2 pieces in our cross. Exact same thing for the final pieces. This one, blue, gonna make sure the blues are going to match, and just F2, so bringing this down 180 degrees, so the piece is now down here. And this piece, well, orange is here, but it's already matching with what's over here. If it's already matching, I won't have to move the bottom 2 layers, and I can just straight away go into F2, bringing it down 180 degrees. Once I've got all the petals of our daisy down into the cross, the cube should look like this, and the step is all done. To make sure you've definitely done everything right so far, you got to make sure that each of these edge pieces align with its center. So that's aligning with its center, that's meant to be, and that's meant to be, and that's meant to be. The third step for solving a Rubik's Cube is to solve the 4 white corners. The goal of this stage looks like this, with a whole layer solved. To do this, all you have to do is turn the cube over to make sure that the cross is on bottom, and then look for any white piece in the top layer. I can see one here, and I'm going to make sure it's on the top right of the cube. Then I'm going to look at what 3 colours are on this corner. In this case, it's got white, green and red on it. Then I'm going to check if it's above the white, green and red centerpieces, but it is above the white, orange and blue centerpieces. So then I'm going to just move the bottom 2 layers anywhere I want, and now I'm going to check if they match. White, green and red, white, blue and red. So they're still not the same centers. Now I'm going to move the bottom layers again and check. White, green and red, white, green and red. Now it's above the centers where it needs to go. All you have to do once you're here is make sure this corner is on the right and just perform this algorithm, which is the righty alg I showed you at the beginning of this tutorial. If you don't remember it, the righty alg goes like this: R, U, R prime, U prime. It happened to be there. Sometimes you can have situations where you put it above where it needs to go, and then you do it once and it's not solved. So if you have it when it's not solved, you do it again and check if it's solved. It's still not solved, so you always have to do it a different number of times. So then I'm just going to try the righty alg again, and it's solved. I can do this exact same concept for the rest of the pieces. So this piece is up here, white, blue, red, white, orange, green. So not here. Gonna check here, white, blue, red, white, blue, orange. So not here. Then I'm gonna move the bottom 2 layers, white, blue, red, white, blue, red. And now I found out that this white corner is above where I need it to go. I'm going to do it once. Is it solved? Yes, it is solved. Now final piece, bottom 2 layers, white, orange, blue, white, orange, blue. Whitey move, not solved. Whitey alg, not solved. Whitey alg, still not solved. And whitey alg, still not solved. And whitey alg, solved. So by just putting it above where it needs to go and keep repeating righty alg, you can eventually solve your first layer of the cube. So not just a side, but a layer. This piece is not solved because it's not matching with all 3 centers. Even though this piece matches with the white centerpiece, orange does not match with blue and blue does not match with red. So this piece is actually supposed to go over here instead. When you need to find a white corner piece in the top layer and you check everywhere and you just can't find one, then it's likely that one's down here but not solved. So what you're going to do is look in the bottom layer and find any unsolved corner. In this case, this one's unsolved. Now what we can see is that the piece isn't in the top layer and it's just down here. All we have to do is hold this unsolved area right in front of us on the front right and perform righty alg. And then it just brings it to the top layer and we can just repeat as normal. So white, orange, blue, white, orange, blue. Yes, it's above where it needs to go. So just righty alg. Is it solved? No, it's not. So I do righty alg again. Check if it's solved. Not solved. So righty alg again. And boom, it's solved. Now you've solved the first layer, it's a good idea to go and now mix up your Rubik's Cube and try and do that all over again a few times. Making sure you remember this will be very good as when we get to steps later on, you may have forgotten the parts I taught you earlier. The fourth step for solving the Rubik's Cube is solving the middle layer. This means that you have to get all 4 white edge pieces to match here with its center. Here's what the result should look like at the end of this step. For this step, you are going to look for any edge piece in the top layer that does not have yellow on it. This edge piece has yellow on it. It is the orange and yellow edge piece. So, because it has yellow on it, you are going to ignore that edge piece. Then we can check another edge piece. It is the orange and green edge piece. Does it have yellow on it? No! So that means that we can use this edge piece. The first thing that we are going to check for this edge piece is what colour is facing us. Green is facing us. So I'm going to keep moving the bottom 2 layers until it is going to match with the green center. Now once it's matching with the green center, it should be showing an upside down T, ignoring the corners. Now you're going to look at what piece is on top. We look at this piece to determine whether this piece is going to go to the left or to the right. So because it's got orange, we're going to check if the orange center is here or here. The orange center is here. So that means that it's meant to go onto the right. If it's meant to go onto the right, here is what you meant to do. Move this edge piece to the left. Then we're going to do righty arc. Turn the cube so this corner piece is on the left side of the cube. And then do lefty arc. And after you've done that, the edge should be solved around the green and orange centers. If you have it when an edge piece needs to go to the left instead of the right, just move the edge piece to the right, seems as it needs to go to the left, and then do lefty arc. Turn so this corner piece is on the right instead of the left, and then do righty arc. And then this piece should be in correct position, surrounded by its 2 centers. If you're looking in the top layer and you cannot find any edge piece without yellow on them, then what you do is you pretend one of these edge pieces needs to go into an unsolved spot. So I can see that this is unsolved. So I can pretend one of these yellow edge pieces needs to go into here, and then that will knock out the piece that doesn't have yellow on it, and then I can just carry on as normal. For example, let's pretend that this piece needs to go here. So let's align it to make a T, fake T. Then I can, since it needs to go to the right, I'm going to move it to the left. Do righty arc, turn so this corner piece is on the left instead of the right, and then do lefty arc. And now I've moved that yellow edge piece into here, and now that's knocked out the piece that does not have yellow on it, and then I can just continue as normal. So like make a T, move it away, righty arc, turn, lefty arc. Now you know how to solve the middle layer. I'll just show you one more example. So this edge piece does not have yellow on it, and it's already matching with the center. Because this matches with the center on the left, that means it needs to go on the left. So because it needs to go on the left, I'm going to move it to the right. Lefty arc, turn, righty arc, and now it's solved. Then I'm going to look and I see this piece does not have yellow on it. It is the red and green edge piece. I'm going to make sure the green matches with its center. Doesn't need to go here or here. Since red matches with the red center, which is on the left, it needs to go onto the left. So I'm going to move it to the right. Lefty arc, turn, righty alg. And now it's solved. Now let's look for one which does not have yellow on it. This piece, orange, orange, already matching. Does it need to go onto the right or the left? Looks like it needs to go onto the left. So I'm going to move it to the right. Lefty alg, twist, righty alg. And now it's solved. Now I'm going to look for another piece that does not have yellow on it. And it just so happens that all of these pieces have yellow on them. So then I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I showed you before. I'm just going to pretend one of these needs to go here. So for example, this one, pretend it's already matching. I'll move it away. Then do righty alg, turn, lefty alg. And now we just put that piece into here, which knocked out a piece which does not have yellow on it. So then I can just do as normal, match as a T. It needs to go onto the right, so I'm going to move it to the left. Righty alg, turn, lefty alg. And the first two layers are done. Once you feel you've mastered it, I recommend you try and practice it lots of times so you can familiarize yourselves with that step. And then after this, you should have your whole first two layers of the cube done, and you've solved most of the cube. The next step is just the last layer. The fifth step for solving a Rubik's Cube is to orient a yellow cross on top. Here's what the final result of this step should look like, with the plus sign right up here. For this step, there are 4 different combinations which the edges can be oriented in. Obviously, one of them is when all the yellow edge pieces are already facing up. If you have them already facing up, then you've skipped this step. But if you don't have them all facing up, so you have one of these 3 combinations, then I'll show you exactly what to do. If you have a line like this, hold the line horizontal, not vertical, horizontal, and do this algorithm. F, righty alg, F prime. And then all the yellow edges should be on top, forming a cross. If you have it when you have an L shape like this, so 2 are oriented but it's forming an L shape, make sure this L is on the back left side of the cube. So it can't be here, it can't be here. Just rotate the cube so it's on the back left of the cube. And then do the algorithm I just showed you. The algorithm was F, righty move, F prime. And then that should give you the line, which is the case I showed you before. So then you just repeat the exact same thing, F, righty move, F prime. And then the cross should be solved. The final combination you may encounter when solving a cross is when you have a dot and no other edges oriented. If you have this, you can hold it in any position and do this algorithm. The exact same algorithm I showed you before. F, righty move, F prime, and then that should turn it into an L, which is the one I just showed you before. So remember, rotate the cube so it's on the back left and do exactly the same algorithm. F, righty move, F prime. And now that should give you a horizontal line. Make sure it's horizontal, not vertical, and do the exact same algorithm. F, righty move, F prime, and now you should have a cross and you're done with the step. The 6th step for solving a Rubik's Cube is to make each of your yellow edge pieces match with its center. So this one would have to match with this center, this one would have to match with this center, that one would have to match with that center, and that one would have to match with that center. The goal of this stage is to make your cube look like this. To do this, you have to keep moving your top layer until just one edge piece is in correct position. So we can see that here 2 pieces are done and these 2 are not done, but 2 pieces are done, we want just 1 done. So I'm going to move it again. Check. There we go. That one's not done, that one's not done, that one's not done, but that one's done. So you want to get just 1 edge piece correct. Then what you do is you hold that correct edge piece right in front of you and do righty alg, U2 R, U2 R prime, and then you should check every single edge piece and they should all be solved. If you try and do this and then you have it when the edge pieces are all still not solved, all you have to do is just do that algorithm again. And then each edge piece should be solved. If you have it when you try and do U moves and then all of a sudden all 4 of these edge pieces happen to be solved, then you've skipped this step. If you have it when you keep doing U moves and you can never get it when just 1 edge piece is going to match, like you keep doing it for ages and it's always either 2 or none, then what you can do is hold it in any position you like and just do that algorithm. So righty move, U2 R, U2 R prime, and then that should lead you to this other combination where you can do U moves, one's matching, hold it in front of you, and then you can just continue as normal. And then they're done. The 7th step for solving a Rubik's Cube is to make all the corners on top be facing up. The goal of this step should look like this. To do this step, turn the cube over so that an unsolved corner piece is on the front right. Then do righty alg, check if it's solved. If it's not solved, then repeat it. If it's still not solved, then repeat it. And basically keep on repeating it until the piece is matching the yellow. Now, it doesn't have to match with these 2 edge pieces, but for this part, it just has to match with its center. So there we go, yellow is up. Now, we move the bottom layer until we get to another unsolved piece in front of us. And then we can just do righty alg again and again and again until the piece is solved. And then we just put the other one, so move the bottom layer in front of us, and now because it's in front of us, now we can keep repeating righty alg until the piece is solved. And then once it's solved, we can turn the cube over, and then all we have to do is we just have to move the top layer like this so that the edges are all back solved in place, and then we should have all the yellow corners up here, and we're almost done. The final step for when solving a Rubik's Cube is to permute these corner pieces. This means to swap each of these corner pieces around so the side parts are all matching. The goal of this stage is obviously the solved cube. To do this, turn the cube over like we did before so that an unsolved piece is in front of us. In this case, that piece is solved, it's matching with its correct centers, but this one is not solved because it is not matching with its centers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do righty move, and that brings it up here. Now, once the piece is up here, I'm going to keep moving the bottom layer until we get to where this piece needs to go. Now, a way to check that is we're going to look at the other 2 colors on this, blue and red. So we're just going to make sure the blue and red edges are in front of that. That's blue and orange, so not quite. Blue and red. Once the correct place is in front of us, now all we have to do is, knowing that this piece is supposed to go into here, we're just going to keep repeating righty alg until the piece is going to go here. And there we go, it is solved. Now another piece has come up here. The other colours on it are blue and orange. So gonna keep moving the down layer until blue and orange come into place. And now I can just do whitey out and it's solved. So now the final piece, exact same concept. Make sure the correct place is in front of us. Green, orange, and now I can do the same algorithm. Righty alg, not solved. Righty alg, not solved. Righty alg, still not solved. Righty alg, still not solved. Righty alg, and we've solved the entire Rubik's Cube. Well done, you have solved your very first Rubik's Cube. One difficult thing you may encounter sometimes when doing the last step of solving a Rubik's Cube is if you look up here and you see there's no yellow corner piece. This corner piece does not have yellow on it. If it does not have yellow on it, what we have to do is we move the bottom layer so that any yellow piece that is not in its correct position is in front of us. And then we just do righty alg 5 times. So you got to count whilst you're doing it. It has to be 5 times, or otherwise this won't work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once you've done it 5 times, you should have a corner piece up here. And then you can just carry on as normal. So blue, orange, whitey alg, solved. And then just move the bottom layer, blue, red, whitey alg, and just move the bottom layer, and the cube is all solved. If you were able to solve your very first Rubik's Cube in this tutorial, tell me in the comment section below. Also, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Share this video with your friends if they're interested in learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Thank you for watching and have an amazing day. Bye!